This is Ams reporting from Netherlands. Had a great day. Started off with the tennis. What a match. And got the desired outcome there. Alcaraz winning, beating Djokovic 3-1. So that was a great start. Had a fantastic day. Went to Belgium for the day. Had a, you know, brilliant time with friends. But it was always going to come down to this. Manchester United. What do they do? Can they back up the first two results, the first two victories under Carrick against better sides like Man City, Arsenal in the title run? Can they follow that up with an expected victory against Fulham? Well, they nearly didn't, but came down to the last 5 minutes of the injury time, and we did it. We did it in Fergie time. We did it in injury time. Man United registered our third victory, back-to-back victory under Carrick. I think Carrick's still unbeaten as a Man United manager. Touch wood. So, brilliant. Let's unpack. Well, where do we start? It was a brilliant occasion for me. Carrick is doing the right thing by continuing the same lineup. Started off with, Lamens, and I'll just quickly go through, but Sané, Lamens, Dalot and Shaw on either side of the defence with Maguire and Martinez. I don't think he could have changed much there. Mazraoui's come back. So potentially could have brought him in. We don't have Dorgu. Not sure who can deputise instead of Luke Shaw if there was anything happened to Luke Shaw there. In midfield, Casemiro, Ugarte start, no problems. They've been good, really good so far in the matches that they've played. And of course, up front, we had an injury again to Patrick Dorgu, which meant that Cunha comes in. Mason Mount misses out, unfortunately. I don't think, was he on the bench today? I'm not too sure. No, Mason Mount misses out, wasn't even on the bench. We had Lacey on the bench, who, unfortunately today was not the match to see him, but hopefully we'll be seeing Lacey. Malacia is back on the bench, so he could potentially deputise. I'm hoping Malacia, by the way, gives Carrick some food for thought. And we also welcome Joshua Zirkzee on the bench there with Šeško. So the main thing for me going into the match, which I mentioned in the preview, was potentially could we have started Šeško? Should we have started Sesko? Now, for me, it was a tale of two arguments. Potentially, yes. And my argument for that is Šeško provides that focal point, that real, genuine number 9 attacker, which I think we need against in matches where the opposition were happy to sit back. Look, Fulham for me, and let me jump into Fulham. For me, Fulham are a great team, and they're knocking on the door of that top 6. Even after losing today, Fulham still sit on 8 points. So, sorry, not 8 points, but 8th with 34 points. If Fulham had got a win today, that would have put them on 7 points above Brentford, just below Liverpool. So Fulham are no slouches. I think the managers got them playing really well. And I knew it was going to be a tough game. However, it is a game which Man United are expected to win. It's at Old Trafford. Fulham are coming up to Old Trafford. and they did sit back. They played, but they were never going to be on that front foot. That was my point. So I think we needed someone like a Šeško, a genuine number 9, to hold up the defense. But anyway, Mbeumo so far, both in Arsenal, both against Arsenal and against Manchester City, has been great and has scored. So we had to continue with him. We continued, why try and fix something that ain't broke? So similar lineup. Carrick's not done much, apart from in on the training ground. We started the match, and I think it was a high tempo match. We had chances, but equally they had chances, and it was just going to be that much of an open game. Out of all 3 matches, this was the match for me where Carrick was probably going to be judged the most, and I'd like to say that this was the match where I saw the least amount of change from the Amorim era. Just to talk on Carrick, he came out obviously jubilant, really excited, having done well, and he says he wants more of the same. For me, I'm like, no thanks. This was nail biting, really tough. I don't want more of the same. I want us to put teams away. We had chances at 2-0. Šeško came on. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Šeško came on, first touch onto the bar. 3-0, that would have been game, set, and match. To quote the tennis analogy from earlier in the day. But that's not what happened. Our defense let Fulham back in. And look, it could happen. We scored a couple of crackers against Arsenal. Today, we conceded a cracker and unfortunately gave away a penalty. So just too nail-biting a match for me at Old Trafford. And we rely on that feel-good factor that's going on at Old Trafford. We relied on Michael Carrick's presence and just a little bit of destiny. I'm glad, though, we did throw the kitchen sink and we got our just rewards. But just not too much of that, guys. I want to keep the blood pressure and the nerves down. So it wasn't going to be a match where we relied on counter-attack, and that's what I was talking about. So let's go into more of the game. Started off, as I mentioned, well, and we actually had a couple of chances. Mbeumo got played in, beautiful diagonal ball by Martinez, if memory serves me well, in the first 5 minutes. Controlled well, but not quite managed to get that the pace. What would be great was a control, get it out of the foot and finish. He didn't provide that. Amad Diallo forced a save from the Fulham keeper. And they also forced a save. Brilliant save, I thought, by Saint-Lemans. I recall it clear as day. It was a toe poke, really, from their front man. And Lemans literally just had an instinctive reflex save to keep us in the game. T.S. Lakiani. Yeah, I think you're probably the Gandu. And Sung Hi. You too. All right. So, sticking back, by the way, Embuemo's chance. It is a great chance. And look, I'm not begrudging. I'm not saying he should, shouldn't miss any balls, etc. But I just think it was a chance that an attacker needs to take, in my opinion. And when we are not counter-attacking, I think Mbeumo tends to drift on to the right, which is his preferred. And he kind of just meddles a little bit with Ahmad's position there. Now they do play well together, and we've seen that under Amarim as a wing back, as a right forward. They do interchange very well, but I just think if we're not counter attacking, Embuemo's presence is yeah, it's not the same as a Šeško, and we saw that when he came on later on. So perhaps something for Carrick to think there. It was a little bit of a quieter game for Embuemo. Now, look, he had a chance, but it's one chance at the end of the day. And as a number 9, we've been saying this for years. I think it's changed slightly, but it's been a little bit of a graveyard shift for number 9s at Old Trafford. I don't think we can say that now, but we still don't overload the number 9 with too many chances. Certainly not as many as, for example, Haaland gets, or even Gyökeres. So we've got to think about that. And I think when Embuemo, the problem happens, and listen, other teams are also putting a lot of pressure on the 9 so that it opens up the game for other people. But the problem we have with Embuemo is if he gets frustrated, the lack of service, he tends to drift out wide. And then that becomes a problem. And today, it was a distinct kind of, it was a clear point, unless we were targeting their left-sided defense, which potentially might have been the case. I didn't think about that previously or analyze that necessarily. But Embuemo and Ahmad both tended to be on the right-hand side. Cunha was also on that right-hand side with, especially when it came towards when he got brought down for that, what should have been a penalty but ended up being a free. And also his goal was on the right-hand side. Bruno was also on that right-hand side. So I think the game was more impacted on that right-hand side. It was very lopsided. And it can be a good thing or bad thing, but to be most potent, we do need to have a balance, and we need to be equally as potent on either side. And I think with Embuemo, he doesn't choose to run as much in the channels on the left as definitely he does on the right. So again, just food for thought, guys. And I've precisely waited to do this this post-match kind of analysis and everything, because we're watching the Spurs versus Manchester City game, and City have dropped 2 points. They were 2-0 up. It was from a position of strength, 3 points to Manchester City, chasing Arsenal. Now, with only a draw, they are on the same number of points behind Arsenal as they are in front of us. So it's not a foregone conclusion that they will be in the top 2. Yes, if Arsenal falter, they're in the best place to capitalize. But likewise, if they falter, if they are unable to react to Arsenal and make the most of it, then the rest of us are ready to take their spot. And guys, this is Manchester City. Even worse was the Aston Villa score. I don't know how Aston Villa have lost these matches. That's twice now they've lost matches that they should have won playing at home. And listen, for me as a Man United fan, earlier on with City coming on, yes, I didn't mind it when City won. But right now, after all these futile talks of Pep being as good as Ferguson, how good is Pep, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, he couldn't lace Ferguson's boots. And I don't want Manchester City to be taking the Premier League this season for that particular reason. So if you ain't going to be Villa, which I think Villa personally is on, not free fall, but they are not in Champions League form, let alone league winning form. I think Villa is soon going to be dropped out of this, or they'll be joining the fight with us. So that leaves Arsenal. Someone's got to take the title. I think they will take the title. There's a point there for being one of the worst teams to lift the title, but so far they've proven to be the most consistent. And well, with Villa losing, they come in touching distance with us and Chelsea and the rest of the pack. They're only 5 points ahead of us. We are yet to play them. Guys, that frees a spot, another spot in the Champions League. Before we were talking about Arsenal, Manchester City, Aston Villa going for the title. That's the top three sewn up, done and dusted. And then we had Man United, Chelsea and Liverpool go in for that fourth and fifth position. I think that's now another one, if not two other people. I don't think that second spot's sewn up. I don't think that third spot's sewn up. So, let's go for it. All right, some messages coming in. City aren't good enough to surpass Arsenal. I don't want Arsenal to win, but seems like it's the time Arsenal is serious. Agree with you. City aren't good enough to surpass Arsenal. I don't think when you compare this season to the next, which I don't think you should do. Every season's on its merits. Listen, we all play the same 19 teams. And at the end of the day, whoever wins is the deserved winner. Looking at Arsenal, are they the best? Are they as great? No. But then who are we to judge? They are top of Europe. They're the best team in Europe right now. Results have proven, ahead of Bayern Munich in second position. They're the top of the Premier League. We can't say shit to them. Yes, we've beaten them. Fantastic. Are they the most exhilarating team to watch? Hell no. By their own standards. Are they as dominant as previous winners? No. Not by a long stretch of the imagination. And Walcott made himself look like an absolute fool and an idiot by comparing him to one of the best sides that's ever played the game in United's 08 season, 07-08 season. No, they won't be as good. But in my opinion, again, play devil's advocate and just being fair, they are the best team in the league. Absolutely. And there were huge question marks going into the game with Leeds. Leeds were a team on form. Leeds were doing well, but they've gone there and smashed Leeds up. They've smacked them out of the park. 4-0. Guys, this is the stuff champions are made of. Wake up and smell the coffee. That's exactly what champions do. They get setbacks, and this has happened time and time again, season in, season out. Man United, especially so. We've not gone unbeaten. No one goes unbeaten. People always say about Arsenal's invincible season. For me, they were a drawing team. That's not the best team we've seen in the league. Far from it. The best teams, be it United, be it Pep City, they still lose. But what they do is bounce back. They don't have two losses back to back. And that's what Arsenal did, guys. They went on, smashed Leeds United, and boom. They've got daylight between them and City and the rest of the pack. In fact, if we look at the form, and this is what I want to leave the profile picture at, Arsenal have registered 1 win in 4 matches. Man City have registered 1 win in the last 6 matches. Aston Villa, 1 win in 4 matches. So Arsenal already had a 7-point gap at the top before. They've only just won their first match in 4 games. But Man City have not capitalised, and neither have Aston Villa. In fact, what has happened, Both Man United and Chelsea have sacked their managers. Well, Chelsea manager walked, Man United sacked their manager. And since sacking their manager, they've just won the last 3 games they've been out. So 3 out of 3 for both Man United and Chelsea. And then you've got Liverpool with only 1 victory in the last 6 matches. That's the top 6. And I'm pretty sure that's how the top 6 will be. They've got distance between, Liverpool have got distance between themselves and Brentford. It's a 3-point gap, but essentially with the goal difference, it's probably like 4 points gap. And the rest. So I think that's your top 6, guys. 14 games to go. That's your top 6. In what order? That's all to play for. So Man United and Chelsea, I repeat, they're the teams in form. And Arsenal did what they had to do. Go out and smack whoever was in front of them after that defeat. So it's all to play for. We've got 5 teams playing for the positions. Right? We've got 5. One of them has got to lose out. Champions League is going to be top 5. And let's see who loses that. All right, we've got quite a few messages coming in. Tahir, Far. Pep's the best and most intelligent tactician, but Ferguson's the greatest manager of all time. Completely agree, UV. Completely agree. Pep, yeah, he's a great tactician. I think he's not necessarily the most versatile tactician, but he's been the great tactician. That tiki-taka has been his imprint. I think he, probably takes it from Johan Cruyff, who, when we look over the course of football, who's football's greatest man, the number one footballing person? I think there was a debate that came up, and I agree. I think Johan Cruyff's got to be there. He's in the top 10 of best footballers that's ever played the game. He's in the top 10 managers who's managed the game, revolutionized the game. I think Pep has literally just taken a leaf out of his book and probably taken it to the next step. Are there holes? Absolutely. I think mentally Pep's not as strong. A lot of his pomp has been highly, highly, highly dependent on exceptional players. Look, you can say so has Ferguson's in a way, but definitely not. Ferguson's had Cristiano Ronaldo for a few years. Yeah, won everything with him. But he's also won with a lot of other players and much lesser players. Pep Guardiola, not a chance, Is won with Man City when he had the likes of, the Silvers, De Bruyne. Anyway, we digress, but he's had the best players. I don't think he's won as much as he should have. But fantastic coach nonetheless. Current day, one of the best, easily. But Ferguson's the GOAT. No one can question that. Ferguson managing career, 49 trophies. That's incredible. Pep's on 39. And just to that point, I don't think, even if Pep gets more trophies, which he should, Pep's not managed an Aberdeen team, right? Pep's walked in, inheriting Lionel Messi, Ronaldinho, and that Barcelona team. Guys, come on. Come on. That's like Ferguson coming into Aberdeen with Maradona. Like, yeah, forget Maradona. Ferguson says it himself. If he got given Zidane and 10 other players, he would win everything. So, look, checkbook manager, Ash, Visible. Yeah, I agree. But hey, I can't begrudge Pep. It's like if I go in my field of choice, if I go to a top company, I'll have, if I'm a top CMO and first of all, I need to choose the best company for me. Who's the best company? Someone that will pay me my wages and someone who will give me the biggest marketing budget, most disposable income to make to bring results. Pep's proven himself at Barcelona, and from there on, he's had the best teams to manage. But that doesn't mean that he's done all that great. Never won the European Cup with Bayern Munich, remains a big blotch, right, on his CV. And even what he's doing with Manchester City, this City's team needed to have dominated. We go back and talk about Arsenal. I don't think they are really deserved winners of this league, but City have been so bad. Liverpool have been the worst champions and have defended their crown the worst. The City have been equally as bad, almost, right? So for the league, and look, Spurs have gone on and got a result against Man City. Credit to them. I didn't want. I don't necessarily. I've got so many Spurs fans around me. I didn't necessarily want them to go out and win, but they haven't got a victory in their last 6 outings, guys. They haven't got a victory with Palace. They are the worst teams on paper in form. So Spurs have got a draw, puts them out on 29 points in 14th place. And so does Palace. Palace have gone out and got a point against Nottingham Forest. And I genuinely thought Nottingham Forest were going to win today and kind of go over up above Leeds United, but not to be. Palace have got a point out of it. But it's tight at the bottom there. 14th to 18th. 14th to 18th. Those 5 teams, just like the top. We've got the top 5, we've got the bottom 5. These are the 5 teams who are going to be battling to stay up. And only one of them is going to go down. West Ham have just started coming into a bit of form. It was utterly heartbreaking for me yesterday. West Ham going 2-0 up. They could and should have scored that third, even fourth goals to seal the match, but not to be. They ended up losing against Chelsea. What a terrible result for us. UV, Pep defeated Ferguson 2 times in the UCL final. Mate, it's not Pep who defeated Ferguson, I'm sorry. It's just Messi. It's just Messi. You know, don't be an idiot. Messi is the best player ever, along with Maradona. And he was in the peak of his career, just couldn't get close to Messi. Pep didn't do anything. Very little. And I'm just using one player. Pep inherited Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets, and Messi. But I'm just talking about one player. So, no, I'm sorry. When we talk about tactician, yes, I give him his flowers. He's done well. But let me put it this way. Give Ferguson the same players that Pep had, and he wins you twice the number of trophies that Pep won. So don't even bother. There's no comparison. Pep doesn't compare, and in fact, I hate to say this, but when Klopp was in England, when Klopp was in the Premier League, Klopp was a better manager than Pep. Klopp has achieved with Liverpool more than what Pep has achieved for Manchester City, in my opinion, because he's taken a much worse Liverpool team without the pedigree, without the cash, without the check that Pep had, and he's beaten Pep a lot of times. So for me, yeah, even Klopp is better than Pep, but I respect Pep a lot. Anyway, let's get into the player ratings. Great conversation, great debate, of course. each to their own when it comes to its opinion, but that's what this community is about. This is what I want people to do. Come on and share your views. Makes for great chat, makes for great debate, and yeah, that's what we love. Football. Ash Visible, Chelsea were lucky, extremely lucky, mate. They were extremely lucky, but they also made their own luck. I just think they were extremely lucky to have been let off the hook by West Ham. They should have scored that third and fourth goal even, but not to be. Chelsea showed fight, and guys, that's another debate. That's another point of conversation which I would like to raise. Are teams, are clubs right to get rid of the manager when they have? I think this season it's been bang on point. Just a sec. Yeah, I think it's been on point. What Man United and Chelsea have done. And listen, I'm not saying every team should do that, and it shouldn't always happen. But Chelsea manager was going through a terrible patch. He left. Man United changed their manager very rightly. In fact, I think they were, as usual, too late to the party. I think Amram should have gone. Should have, you know. For me personally, in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing. It hurt me a lot when Amram lost to Spurs. I saw a distinct lack of cutthroatedness. I saw a distinct lack of kind of like emotional intelligence. He just was not ready for Man United. And this is no skin off Amrim's teeth. I just think, or of my teeth when I talk about Amrim, I just think it's a bit too soon for him. He's a great technical manager who did well coaching, who did well in the preparation of the players, but he lacked that in-game management, solid in-game management that a top coach has, that a Mourinho has. Look what Mourinho is doing with Benfica. I think Mourinho's kind of past it, but still, Benfica is his level. That's where Mourinho at the moment should be and is. It should be with a team that can go to that goes into the Europa League or UEFA Conference League, at best into a worse league like the Portuguese league, and try and hit the Champions League. I don't think he will take teams which are better than that level. Once you leave Manchester United, you go downhill, and he's proven that again. But Mourinho is still a great in-game management coach. And what he's done, he's got his team over the line against Real Madrid. These are things that I think Amorim lacks, and we should have got rid of him for a while. But look, we've got rid of him, and we've got that new manager bounce, right? Whereas if you compare that with Spurs, even though Spurs are doing really well in Europe, but they're in the relegation battle, guys. So, yeah, the question is there to be asked, needs to be asked, and I think it's not an unfair question. Is Chelsea right in their strategy? When it doesn't go right, when it's not going well, Chelsea are the first ones to pull the plug. Pull the plug, right? So, yeah. I also want to address, I know I've had a request for Fulham. Right. I think technically Fulham, Raúl Jiménez, what a player. I think it was a great I think it was a great performance. And Raúl Jiménez, initially when he was put up against Martinez, he struggled. Martinez had a cracking game. He's done really well. But Raúl Jiménez then started putting himself against Maguire. And when he made that shift, albeit very subtle, albeit very seamless, but that little change brought him a lot of joy. And we're going to talk about that when we go into the player ratings, and talk about Maguire and etc. But I wanted to do this piece on Raúl Jiménez because, just one second. Because he made that change happen and he nearly got Fulham a result. He nearly got Fulham a result. So let's talk about the player ratings, and we'll be having our man of the match following that. All right. So we start with Saint Elements, the goalkeeper, and I think for me, it's a 7 out of 10. He's conceded 2 goals. Let's start with the second one. It was a screamer. Man United were lucky to score 2 such goals against Arsenal. So we won the receiving end of one today. He just can't do anything. The guy never looked up. He got the ball out of his foot and whipped just a fantastic ball, which, by the way, takes a wee bit of a touch, slight deflection from Ugarte. We're going to talk about Ugarte. A lot of stick coming his way. I personally think, look, sometimes in football, luck plays his part, and Ugarte was just not quick enough to get there, but it flicked a stud, got a touch, but just can't do anything against that quality of shot, and nestled right at the top corner. So some elements for me doesn't take a blame on that really, and he started off the game fantastic, made a great reflex save with his right hand, and that was at 12 minutes on to keep us at 0-0. And then in the second half, he also made a brilliant save from a free kick, I believe. He saw it a bit late. At first, I questioned because he parried it, but he parried it into the ground and amongst the players. So I thought, couldn't he do a better job with the parry? But he saw it late, and I thought he did really well. So, and that first half save was at 12 minutes something. It was only a couple of minutes later that Cunha went on that run and he got a free kick. Should have been a penalty, but he got himself a free kick, which led to that first goal. So anyway, Le Mans, 7 out of 10. I think is I say it again, super acquisition for us. Great composure, even for the penalty. I like that he was one. Excuse me. He was confident one-on-one with Raúl Jiménez, who's a great penalty taker. Who's a great penalty taker. It was a duel. I backed Le Mans. Look, it's always going to be in favor of the attacker. They've got the entire goal to aim, and as a keeper, you can only react. But Le Mans looks confident, look good in front of that penalty save, and guessed the right way. I don't think it was a guess. He didn't for his first. I think he was facing his first penalty in United colours. He's got a great record in Belgium. He didn't rush. He didn't show any kind of inexperience. He waited. Raúl Jiménez coming back to him, stuttered twice, stopped twice, and no movement from Le Mans. And then in the end, he guessed right. He went in the right direction. But unfortunately for Le Mans, the penalty was just too good. He placed that penalty in the roof of the net. I mean, you won't see a better placed penalty than that. I can tell you that now. So, 7 out of 10 for Le Mans. Dalot. Look, Dalot was not the match winner today, but I've liked him a lot more in a 4 at the back. I think in a four at the back, Dalot does not influence the game too as much as he used to in a five at the back. And by consequence, can focus a lot more on being a good defender first and later attacking. He's not a great defender. He's not Aaron Wan-Bissaka one-on-one. And a couple of times he still made some mistakes. But I like his energy, and he added going forwards. If I'm not mistaken, one of the balls, for Cunha's goal, Casemiro wins a header, sends it off to Dalot, who then plays Casa back, and Casa then got the assist. So I'm going to give Dalot potentially, I'm thinking a 6.5, but I give him a generous 7. Maybe a 6.5, actually. I'll go back. Maybe a 6.5 is the more realistic score. But it's above average. And overall, I just think Dalot, look, is making those 6.5, 7 out of 10s kind of appearances at the moment. If he continues on that 6.5 is going to turn to 7s, and 7s into 7.5s. And that's all that he needs to do, right? He doesn't need to be having those bullet shots and, superb crosses. Listen, if he does, fantastic. He just needs to be able to join in on the attack, but more importantly, support that defense. Maguire. Maguire, like Martinez, was having a good game up until the middle of the second half. And that's where I want to talk about, or that's where I spoke about Raúl Jiménez, who I think it was a conscious decision. He wasn't having much change and much luck out of Martinez. So he goes and stands on Maguire's side. Martinez couldn't get to him, and Maguire, with the lack of pace, he got caught out. So he didn't get caught out once, but twice. He missed the header, and we nearly conceded. And then he goes on and clatters Raúl Jiménez, chops him when he was late on a ball that Lamens had already parried. That gave away the penalty. So for that, he'll have to get points docked. But at the same time, I think he was having a good game with Martinez. So I'll give Maguire a 6, an average score of 6 out of 10. Martinez, well, out of the defenders, he was the best today. He didn't give Raúl Jiménez a kick. He came out with the ball a lot more. He was zipping those balls earlier on. He played that beautiful ball over to Mbeumo, who should have done better. Played some lovely balls over to Ahmad. Look, Martinez, if Martinez is on song, we've got a chance, because he's, in my opinion, one of the best ball-playing defenders out there in the league. Period. Maybe that's why he needs someone like a Maguire or De Ligt next to him to mop up, to really be... Martinez is aggressive, but he could do with a really strong and physically imposing partner next to him, so that as a team they don't get caught by any long balls, etc. But fantastic display for me. Martinez, I'd give him 7.5 out of 10, despite conceding 2 goals. And now we go on to Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw didn't necessarily make those mistakes and blunders that were on the right-hand side. That's where we got caught out. That's where the 2 goals came. Both came on the right-hand side. Maguire's side. But Shaw didn't really support in attack today. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's just age. Maybe he's carrying a knock or an injury. I don't know. But he's not as offensive. Maybe it's something from the manager. We don't know. But while I saw Dalot coming out to support his winger, less so from Shaw. And like I said, I don't know enough. I don't know if that's something that is purposeful from Carrick, because that left hand side, we didn't attack more. We attacked a lot more on the right hand side, but at the same time, we were open a lot more on the right side of the defense. That left side was just steady. Shaw did what he needed to do. Cunha marauded all over the place, wasn't necessarily on the left. So yeah, it was what it was. We didn't concede anything on the left, so it was, I guess, a good steady performance. But likewise, we didn't really attack, and I don't think I saw much of Shaw. So I'll give him the same score as Dalot for different reasons. I thought Dalot was better attacking, Shaw perhaps a little bit more steady defensively. But for me, it raises a question. What do we do with the left-hand side moving forwards? Does Shaw still have the legs? Does he still have the stamina, the engine to go up and down when needed? Or do we need to start looking at options? The jury's out for me. Now we're going to midfield. Kobe Mainu. I'll start with him, even though he's the 8. Look, Mainu, he's a talented footballer. I think we say that every time. In possession and when we're dominating the game, he looks great. But out of possession and we are facing the attack, he disappears. He's in and out of the game. And actually, we concede because of Mainu. He's the one who let his man go. There's nowhere to be seen. And the Fulham player played a ball that perfectly dissected Maguire and Martinez. It's because he got the time and space to run, and Mainu was playing catch up. So it's not a great one. He gets an average score of 6 out of 10 for me, and a question mark. If Mainu plays, I think we need to have a super solid number 6, which Ugarte was not, and we'll get to him. But Mainu's partner, Casemiro, what a player, what a performance. He said he's leaving at the end of the season, and we all, despite our criticism, despite his critics, I certainly felt sad. Not because I wasn't expecting, not because he's going, but what a personality, what a player he's been for us. And I think sometimes he's been unfairly critiqued. We know what we're getting there, guys. Casemiro is not an out and out number 6. He's not, let's put it this way, he's not just a number 6. The amount of attacks he starts, the amount of goals he scores, the amount of assists he gets, the quality and the talent in this human being is more than just a sitter who shields the game. We have not provided him with the shield or with the legs. Otherwise, he would have delivered a lot more performances like today. But what a player he's been. And quite simply for me, I'll say it now, easily my man of the match. He rose tallest to head the really good free kick from Bruno Fernandes. Puts us 1-0. And then created the second, gets the ball from Mainu. Produces a no-look pass, and I can't tell you how great that pass was. It's simple. He knew what he needed to do. But he looks at Mbeumo, which It's not just a no-look pass when you're looking at someone and play it. He knew which are those two players. He looks at Mbuemo, who is Man United's top scorer. The Fulham defense freezes, and he threads that ball perfectly into Cunha's feet, and he did the rest. But what a ball from Casemiro. That's not your usual number 6. He's a number 8 like Mainu, but when he has Mainu there, he covers for Mainu. And for me, forget these two. These two are just moments of brilliance. These two are just moments from a player who's got 4 or 5 Champions Leagues, whatever he has. He gets the man of the match purely because it is his absence on the pitch that brings Man United to capitulation. He goes off, and that's when we concede. If he stays on that pitch, we do not. And I think that's something for Carrick to take note. I don't think Carrick can afford to take off Casemiro. Now, I know his age, his legs, etc. He's not playing for us past this season. I do not think Carrick can afford to take Casemiro off. Take Mainu off if we have to. Take Mainu off. Can't touch Casemiro, mate. Amorim couldn't touch Casemiro. Whenever Amorim took Casemiro off, we suffered. But Mainu was not playing for a reason. I'm not going in on Mainu. I like him a lot. When things are... He's one of those players. A bit... I'm not comparing to Zidane. Please don't make this mistake. But it's a little bit like Zidane. When things go well, Zidane look beautiful on the ball. And so does Mainu. Does wonderful things, 1-2s, etc. Off the ball, he is not the midfielder you want in your team to be providing that tenacity, resilience, fight, grit, determination. That he's not. That's not his skill set. So tuning up, need to short the game, maybe hit back, etc. Not Mainu. Take him off, mate. Casemiro's got to play that match. So let's move on to the top 3. Bruno Fernandes. Look, Bruno. Mispassed passes, still takes chances, but he's further up the pitch, so he doesn't impact the game. Let's look at what he can't do, and let's focus on what he can do and what he does do. We got a penalty robbed from us, got given as a free kick just outside the box. Bruno Fernandes was going to step up for both. Instead of scoring the penalty, he got the chance now to lay it on the plate for somebody else. And laid on the plate, he did. He put it in the right area on top of the right person's head. He put it in the right area because there was both our best headers in the game. Casemiro and Maguire. I heard from someone in the commentary or somewhere someone was asking, is Casemiro quite simply the best header in the Premiership at the moment? Possibly. Absolutely. Casemiro is he's got a few inches less than Maguire, height-wise. But he wins more than his fair share of headers, and he certainly, when he wins them, he gets them on target. I think it's a fantastic head of the ball. But Bruno Fernandes is clearly a well-worked thing where we've got both our best headers in that area, and Bruno lifted the ball right in that area, and we were 1-0 up. Bruno then obviously contributes to the winner. He's the one who gets the assist on the right-hand side again. Crosses, and Šeško did the rest. So, sorry, I don't think... I said Casemiro was the man of the match. I don't think I gave his score. Casemiro for me was a 9. Quite simply. Bruno Fernandes with his 2 assists, with his contributions, he gets a 7.5. Top man, top bloke. I've spoken about him in earlier as well. But how are we to replace him? I don't think we can afford to lose Bruno Fernandes. He was already irreplaceable, but this year, with his set pieces, we'll struggle to replace him even more. So for me, we've got to work a way for him to stay at Old Trafford. And now the two men on the flank. I talk about Ahmad. Ahmad for me, again, in and out of the game. A little bit like Mainu, but Ahmad has got some outcome. You know, he forced a save earlier on in the first 10 minutes. And I then didn't see Ahmad literally for the next hour until about 75 minutes. As soon as Sesko came in, gave Ahmad a focal point, cuts the ball out on the left, cross over to Šeško, who heads the ball on his first touch straight onto the bar. So that was Ahmad. Couple of flashes of good work, but not enough for me. And one of the reasons may have been because everybody else seemed to wander on his right side and on his territory. So I'd still say 6.5, slightly above average with his contributions, but I'd love to see a lot more from Ahmad moving forwards. And then the other man, Cunha. Now, Cunha was fantastic. It's the other duo next to the other half of the Brazilian magical duo that we had on the pitch today. And Cunha, for me, everything was about this finish today. Doesn't hold his position. I'm a bit critical of that. And he does sometimes go in and out of the games, but today he was all over the place. Can be bad, but we can also play that to our advantage. He was on the right. He produced. I think Cunha is playing his best football under Carrick, and that finish for me, I cannot tell you how good it was. That was a forwards finish. He got played that ball, and listen, as great as the ball was, it wasn't a gimme for Cunha. It was on the right hand side. I mean, he's wellied that ball with curl and control into the roof of the net to put us 2-0 up. Fantastic. But overall, what I really like about Cunha as well is just he's so humble. I saw a little video of him stopping to sign some autographs with children, and you know, all of these little things is fantastic. But also the way that he talks about his peers, the way about he talks about Man United, his dream. He shunned someone asking, you know, if he'd if he'd join Arsenal by being respectful, but he was like, no. And yeah, again today, you know, his celebration, man, like his celebration. These Brazilians know how to celebrate. Reminds me a bit of Anderson's search over there, and just looks great. It looks to be a right kind of guy around the place. Brilliant attitude. Celebrated with Mbeumo and Ahmad. Brilliant guy. And we talk about Mbeumo, number 9. Mbeumo wasn't his match today. He had a couple of chances. Oh, by the way, Cunha, for me, gets an 8 out of 10. And Mbeumo, for me, gets a 6.5. Today was the match where we see that, you know, don't want to jump straight away, but a natural number 9 does a better job than Mbeumo today. He likes to run. He likes to face the goal. And he is probably better off coming in on from the right. He gets the ball played on the right. He takes his touch. He takes his time. And he can finish perfectly fine or find somebody else. When he's in that number 9 position, it's left on to him. And while he's rapid, he's not that number 9 rapid who gets the ball touch out of the out of the feet and shoots. He needs some support. So maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on him, but 6.5 for this match. Can't give him more than that. On the other hand, Šeško. Šeško came on and was everything that I wanted in a forward, in the number 9. Well deserved for me. He needs to start the next match, in my opinion. Ahead of who, I don't know, but in my opinion, needs to start the match. I would love to see, especially a match that we expected to win. Our next match is against Spurs. I don't know what to make of that. I know a lot of people are going in super confident, but they've just got a result against Manchester City. I need to see. But when we're playing anyone else outside of the top 6, I think Šeško needs to score. When we're playing against teams who have a really low block, we need him. He's a physical presence who can hold the ball, hold the defenders, offers us an exit. We can play the balls into him. And look, not bad off the bench either. Came on, got the ball played by Bruno, and what a touch. Waited for the defender to come, used him as a blocker, shield, and curled it on top right corner. Fantastic. Just for that alone, an 8 out of 10. The rest of the substitutes, I think there were 3 more substitutes. Lenny Yoro came on super late. He gets a 6 out of 10. Didn't have time to do anything else. Ugarte came on. Look, he lost his man. He was to blame for one of the goals. Definitely that second goal, was on his side. But I'm not going to go dead in on Ugarte. He's the only one who gets below the average score. But I'll give him, 5.5 because that goal was so good. It's not solely on Ugarte. If he doesn't hit top bins, we don't even talk about it. So I just feel for Ugarte, he's got to come on generally. When he comes on, we're already winning the match. We're under the cosh. We're under attacks. I just think he's just got to, we just got to get a little bit more consistency with him playing with Casemiro as opposed to playing with Menu, because they both help each other out. Casemiro is just a very intelligent, very, very intelligent footballer. And when he plays with Ugarte, I think he plays even better. Who else came on? I think Lenny Yoro, Šeško with Ugarte, and Mazraoui. Mazraoui also gets a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. We did concede with him in the side on the right, but at the same time, I think he played the ball into Bruno Fernandes from the left, so the ball before the assist. Well done to Mazraoui there. I think that's the other change that I would potentially like to see. Not that Delo's not done well under Carrick, but I would like to see Mazraoui given a chance to start for Carrick. I'd like to see how he fares. I think arguably he's a better defensive player than Delo. So let's see if we can hold out games. So this was it today. By way of the ratings. And Carrick gets a 7 out of 10. Probably the lowest score he's got since he's joined Man United, but 3 out of 3 wins. And look, next match is going to be super crucial. I think it's against Spurs. Win that and we're in business. But yeah, good performance. Super happy with the win more than the performance. And I'm just happy we got that monkey off the back, that we can win a game which we're expected to win. So that's a victory for me. All right, UV. There is no one whom I'm talking to. Can we discuss football? What do you want to discuss, buddy? I was here to review the game. I've done that. And I'm super happy. But if you've got any other topics, fire away. If not now, we'll do it next time. I think it's been a great day. I'm looking at the table, makes for pleasant reading, and time for me to jump off now. So I'm gonna wish you all a great evening. Take care. Until the next time. Ciao, ciao.